Greetings everyone. Today we're going to explore solving 3x3 systems. This means systems of equations that have 3 variables. We do have a foldable for this, but if you don't have access, no problem. Jot it down in your own notebook. Now, you're used to systems with 2 variables, x and y, which we often describe to you as a graph, right? Where 2 lines intersected on a Cartesian graph. And so what we're doing now is we're adding that third element, that third variable, which we're going to call the z value. So if you think of what you already know about graphing, now we're adding on a depth to it. Now in your notes, we're going to talk about steps to solve 3 variables. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick 2 equations out of the 3 and eliminate a variable. Now there's some strategy here, right? You want to pick maybe a variable that'll cancel on its own. You want to pick maybe 2 equations where the coefficient is the same in front of a variable. So be careful with that step. There's some strategy to make your life easier. Step 2, you're going to pick 2 different pairs of equations from the 3, and you're going to eliminate the same variable as the previous. All right, so if I eliminate y the first time, then I have to eliminate y the second time. Step 3, solve the new linear system. So when you do that, you're going to create 2 variable equations. So now going back to what we know from Algebra 1, we're going to solve that system. Now there's a couple more steps, so pause the video here if you need to. All right, step 4. Once you have solved that system you created, you will know 2 of the variables. So you only have 1 more to find. So you're going to substitute the 2 variables back into one of the original equations. Go back to the question, and then find that third value. Step 5, please write your solution as an ordered triple. Order doesn't matter, x, y, z, for example. You want it to be alphabetical. And as always, when solving any type of system, plug those numbers into every equation to check your answer. Again, if you need to pause, please do so. Now, the example that we're going to go through, I gave you this notes sheet. If you don't have it, not a big deal. Just follow along, jot it on your own paper. But this is what we're looking at today. So up at the very top of that foldable, if you would please pause this video and write these 3 equations down. All right, so to get us started, I'm just going to talk about these first. If I look at step 1 says pick 2 equations and eliminate the same variable. Remember I said there's strategy here. Look at the variables. Which 2 same letters or like variables could I eliminate easily? My eyes are drawn to these x's. Now, your neighbor could pick a completely different pathway. This is a choose your own adventure. This is where I really learn your style of thinking by looking through your work. And so I'm going to choose those equations from the first and the third equations. So on one of the sides of your notes foldable, I'm going to pick a pair. So I'm going to line up these 2 equations. And I'm going to use elimination. We're going back to Algebra 1 here. If you need help with elimination method, make sure you see my other videos. And let's see, we've got a 3y here, a 5z here, and a 4 here. Remember, old school addition, that's how we eliminate. All right, so we've got that written down. Let's take a look at the next step. All right, now the way I'm looking at my notes sheet, that work ended up, I chose the left tab. If you chose the right, not a big deal. So this is what I'm looking at. And so I'm going to take that equation, I'm going to write it here in this middle line. So I've got a 3y plus 5z equals 4. All right, so let's take a look at the other side. Now, the next step says I need to eliminate the same variable, but I need to use 2 different equations. So I already used 1 and 3. So my only other combinations, I could do 1 and 2, or I could do 2 and 3. And if I'm going to try to pick a little bit of strategy here, I'm going to pick equation 1 and 2 only because they have opposite signs, right? So the only thing I'm going to have to do is multiply that first equation by a factor of 2. All right, I need to multiply this entire equation by 2. So on the other side, I'm going to show that. I'm going to take 2 times the first equation, and I'm going to take care of that distribution right away. So I'm going to have a negative 2x plus 2y plus 4z equals 4. And then I'm going to write that second equation right below it. Now, when you're doing this on homework, I'd consider labeling your equations. Like I used equation 1 and 2, just because if you get stuck, if you get lost and you ask a teacher or a friend for help, it's a little bit easier to follow along knowing where you began. All right, let's do some old school addition here. That cancels. I'm left with a 3y, a plus, let's see, that would be a 1, so 3z equals, ooh, and I arrive at a 0, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, all right? All right, so let's carry over now into that middle, that equation we just found, which was 3y plus 3z equals 0. And we've already got this written down, but let me just copy that over. So now we're going to take care of some Algebra 1 work here because we have a 2-variable system. So if you need help with this step, you definitely need to see previous videos. But our goal is to eliminate a variable. I'm going to eliminate the y. Now, I don't think you need to show this step, but I'm going to show you that I am multiplying the first equation by -1. I need to do that in order for the y's to be opposites, right? If they're going to eliminate, they need to be opposite signs, because when I do old school addition, there we go, cancels out. I've got a -2z remaining and a -4, which means z, look at how easy this is a nice clean 2. All right, let's jump kind of towards the bottom of your foldable. Alrighty, so if we jump to the bottom here, I'm just going to rewrite these equations. You already have this written down, but I need to see it again. We just found our z value. So I'm going to substitute that z value into one of the equations. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to pick the bottom one because it is 0. Doesn't matter though. It really, really doesn't matter. So if I solve this, I've got 3y. I've got a 2-step equation here, right? 3y -6. Therefore, y equals -2. There's my second variable. All right, let's find our third and final variable. We need to take our z value of 2. We already found that. And our y value of -2. And we need to plug it into one of the original equations. So I'm going to pick equation 3. If you look at your paper, look at equation 3. I am picking equation 3 because the x is by itself. It doesn't even have, or its coefficient is 1, right? So I feel like that might make my life a little easier, but totally up to you. And if you're working with a partner, say, hey, I'm going to plug into equation 3, you plug into equation 2. Because if you guys still arrive at the same value, that's a little bit more confidence in your answer. So let's simplify that. I've got x minus 4 plus 6 equals 2. X plus 2 equals 2. Oh, I got x equals 0. That's okay. It is okay to have a 0 answer. All right, so let's write our final answer. So look at your foldable, how it folds up there. You can fill this in. We just found out that our x value is 0. Our y value was -2. And our z value is 2. So see how we write that in order of x, y, z with commas and parentheses. Now let's briefly talk about how you can check your answer. I don't think you need to write it out. I think scratch check work is okay, calculator check work. But if I plug in the variables into each, if I plug the numbers into each of the variables, I should be able to do a quick check. So this was -2. Now, how you write this, how you check is up to you. I'm just mostly doing that to do some mental math. So here we have 0 minus 2 plus 4 equals 2. Yep, that's true. Here I'd have 0 minus 2 minus 2 equals negative 4. Yep. And here I'd have 0 minus 4 plus 6 equals 2. Yes, that's true. So I just substituted in the numbers, made sure that it actually equaled what it says. Now, I'm not going to go through this next example, but it's another one that you can try where I'm giving you the answer. So if you're unsure, if you're working with another adult, if you're working with someone at home or a friend, here's one that you can work on together, try it out, and there is the solution for you to use. As always, make sure that you check out Google Classroom for your task. What do we need to accomplish today after this lesson? There are plenty of other videos that go through 3x3 systems, so if you feel like hearing another teacher's explanation might be helpful, then seek out that resource. As always, if you need help, check out the Sabre Center, okay, you guys? Definitely, one-on-one help is always beneficial. And when it comes to those 3x3s, remember your steps. Have those steps abbreviated on a note card maybe, or off to the side, somewhere where you can just reference, what do I do next? Good luck, good work, and until next time, have a good one.